Hey everyone, welcome back to Executive Teens, where we explore the real skills that set you apart in a world of AI, algorithms, and constant change. And we're also digging deeper into how culture, communication, and human connection shape the way we work, live, and lead. Today, I'm joined by someone who's seriously inspiring, Ernestine Siu, a reporter at CNBC's Make It, who covers startups, venture capital, and how Gen Z and millennials are spending and investing their money. She also hosts the segment Startup Shop on CNBC Asia's flagship TV show, Squawk. What makes this conversation especially exciting is that Ernestine doesn't just follow business trends, she understands the human stories behind them. We'll talk about the cultural forces that shape Gen Z's mindset, the soft skills that help her thrive in high pressure interviews, and what teens should know about navigating a career in a world that's rapidly changing. Let's get into it, and thank you, Ernestine, for joining us.
Thanks, Athena, for having me. I love that you're doing this because you mentioned human stories, and that's also what I'm really big on. So I'm happy to chat with you today.
Awesome. I'm glad this was able to happen as well. So, jumping into the questions, let's start off with, can you tell us a little about your journey into journalism and what drew you to covering startups and businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, a little bit about my journey. I actually grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I went to school at UC Irvine. And I think ever since I was little, I'm Cantonese. So, my parents would call me bakwa. That's the word for nosy in Cantonese. So, I think ever since I was really little, I've been super, super nosy. And then I think as I grew up, I realized that that was just my curiosity, my inherent curiosity. And that's actually a strength of mine. And so throughout high school and college, I just really explored different ways to, storytell. In college, I was part of the school. We had this TV. Oh my gosh, do not look it up. But we had this um, TV channel on YouTube called Anteater TV. Just don't look it up though. But I did some on-camera reporting on campus, and that kind of helped me get my feet wet. And I think throughout college, like I was super passionate about storytelling and representation. And so like throughout college, I just started interning. I was really, really hustling throughout college. Like I remember wasn't my junior, no, my sophomore year, I literally had two different internships and I had a full course load. And one of my internships was in the LA Times Today building, and I went to UCI. So it was 3 days a week, I remember. And so I remember I would have to commute during rush hour. It was a 2 hour commute. I don't know if you know, like Irvine to El Segundo, because the LA Times building's in El Segundo. It's a 2 hour commute. I both ways. So I was driving like 4 hours a day. And then it was just a lot. But I'm glad I did it and I learned a lot that year. And then after college, I ended up at CNBC. I landed my dream job. I was an associate producer for the show Fast Money. And then ever since then, I've been with CNBC. It's been 5 years now. And yeah, I think like that intersection between business and journalism, to be honest, like um, I also really think that money touches everything, and I've always been very passionate about financial literacy. And I felt that like pursuing journalism, helping tell stories in journalism, helping tell stories about people who have made it can help inspire people. So I think that that's one of the main reasons I did it. And also I like that through my job, I can essentially make financial information more accessible to people because not everyone grew up, talking about investing at the dinner table.
That's lovely. I hear you on the LA traffic. It can be something. And honestly, it's so impressive that you were able to hold down so many internships and still get your feet wet in so many different places and learn all of those skills in college. Moving on, what were you like in high school? Were you always interested in storytelling and sharing these big ideas?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in high school, honestly, I was really shy. I've always been really shy as a kid, to be honest. And yes, I would say that I've always been really interested in storytelling. I've always been interested in like having deeper conversations. So I felt like throughout high school, I never really fit in, to be honest. Like I was actually bullied growing up. And I think it's because I don't know, I've just always liked deeper conversations and I really yearned for that as a kid, like having deeper connections with people. And I felt like throughout high school, I never found that, to be honest. So yeah. So I mean, that also ties into my story because then because I felt that way, I had to search outside of high school to find community. So that's when I started joining like community events. Like I joined pageants in the Bay Area. And then through that, I met like some of my best friends today.
That's awesome. My mom was also involved in pageants a little bit, so I
Oh
just
my
love getting
gosh.
to see that world.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like, yeah, you get dressed up and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
In your experience interviewing founders and venture capitalists, how much do you think culture or upbringing influences their people skills or leadership styles? And can you share a moment that stood out to you?
That's a good question. I think it is very it definitely impacts um someone's leadership style. Because, like, for example, I've reported on founders in the US, and then I've also reported, like, currently I'm based in Singapore, actually. And I currently report primarily on founders in Asia. And I would have to say, like, the leadership styles are definitely different. I think that it really is just your culture, like how you were brought up, what you were taught about hard work, what hard work means, and also like how you lead people, how you lead your team. I think it like a lot of it has to do with just how you grew up and what you were taught. Yeah, I think that's a big, it has a big impact for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I relate to what you're saying. I'm Asian and I live in America, but I was born in China, so I kind of get the culture difference a little bit, and it is an interesting contrast to see.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard about the 996 culture in China, but have you heard of it by chance?
I have not, but please let me know. I'm interested now.
Yeah, I think like there's this culture in Asia, not in all of Asia, but especially China, where the working culture is just really intense, basically. So I think I have personally experienced that, like working in Asia versus working in the US. The working cultures are definitely different. Um, yeah, and again, it just ties back to like how people grew up, what they grew up thinking about hard work. And I think a lot of Gen Zers actually, as a Gen Zer myself, we're kind of I love our generation because I think we're taking a stand and we're deciding, you know, the values that we want. We're very impact driven. So yeah, it's been interesting to see all of that.
I completely agree. Our generation has honestly accomplished so many things so far, and I think it's amazing to see.
Mhm.
What soft skills or emotional intelligence traits have helped you the most? And do you think any of those have shaped or are shaped by your cultural background or upbringing?
That's a great question. I think that some soft skills that have definitely shaped me the most. I think I mentioned that throughout high school, like I never felt like I fit in. So I think that was a blessing in disguise because that really taught me to be resourceful and figure out other ways to find that sense of community, something that felt more authentic to me, you know, like find people who felt really authentic to me. So I think ever since I was young, like I've been very self-aware. I've really honored my own feelings. And I think that's actually a really powerful soft skill to have throughout your life. And also like having resilience, of course, like being resilient, thinking outside the box, and yeah, again, like finding other ways to do things, you know, like life does not have to follow a linear path. And I think like trusting your own instincts is key. And also, yeah, just being resourceful, seeing what else is out there. Also, another big thing I think that's really shaped me in my career is taking agency, like owning your life, you know, like that's a big thing because especially, I know we're going to get into it, but like with AI, right? It's changing every single industry. And the truth is, like, if we're privileged enough to have access to a laptop, to the internet, and with that access, we can actually like we have all the tools at our fingertips, you know? So it's just all about having that agency to learn.
That's an amazing point to bring up. Staying true to yourself, being resilient, and using the resources around us. And you
Mhm.
set me up perfectly for the next question. You cover AI regularly. How do you think it will affect the careers of the next generation, especially across different cultures, communities, and how do these skills like empathy and adaptability fit into the future?
Yeah, I love that question. And to be honest, it's something I think about like every single day. Especially because, part of my job as a journalist at CNBC, I cover a lot of AI and I talk to a lot of experts. I am no expert, but I can relay what I've learned, just talking to people. So I think that in terms of industries, right, it's changing every single industry already. Like, for example, I think that software engineering, you would think that it would be one of the more difficult skills to replace it, but actually, like after speaking with experts, it's one of the most easy skills to replace right now. Like there are tools out there like Cursor, Replit. I don't know if you've heard of these tools, but they basically will code for you just based off of you can type in.
Oh, right.
Have you heard about it?
I've
Yeah.
I've played around with some of those.
Yeah, well, it's great that you're like getting such a head start on playing around with it because it's crazy. You could like code like at least a prototype to an app in an hour
Hmm.
less.
Yeah.
So it's changing everything. It's changing like how startups are built. I think that like startups are going to have much smaller teams and they're going to be able to move a lot faster with these no code coding tools. And outside of startups, I mean, even with my industry, it's impacting, I mean, like writing, like content creation. It's also one of the first things that will be disrupted by AI, and it's one of the most easily replaceable, I think. But I think what actually sets apart people is like the human touch, right? AI will never understand what like it will never have that nuance that humans have. So I think like leaning into what makes us inherently human is like what will set us apart. And also along with that, learning the tools at home, like self-learning, but of course doing it safely, right? Like you don't want to put your personal data or anything sensitive into these LLMs, into like ChatGPT. So doing it in an informed way. Yeah.
That's so true, finding balance with using AI and also safety as well, which is a great point to bring up because um, digital safety and just being aware of the things that can happen and putting your privacy first is
Yeah.
extremely important. What has been one of the biggest challenges you have faced in your career, and how did your values or cultural perspective help you cope with it?
That's a really, really good question. I think it's changed. I've had challenges throughout my career, right? But I think like one of the biggest is like when I first joined CNBC, I was straight out of college. I was like 20, 21 years old. I moved straight to New York right after I graduated to join this big team, right? And it was during COVID actually. So I was trying to adapt to a new city in the midst of COVID. And then also like the newsroom is quite diverse, but I will say that it's still like I still felt like a minority, definitely. So I think facing that was difficult, but I think it also helped me become a lot more resilient. And I think throughout my career, I've had to move around quite a bit, actually. And I think that this is a personal challenge, to be honest. Like, um, I don't know if it's like what you might expect me to say, but basically, like when I first graduated college, I moved to New York. And then after New York, I moved to Singapore. And Singapore is like across the world. Like I've never been so far away from family currently. So actually, I feel like I'm currently encountering this challenge. Like I've never been so far away from family, from my friends. And I feel that distance, like the flight from here to SFO, like where my family is 17 hours. So that's been pretty crazy, but at the same time, I know it's like such a privilege. But I think that distance has honestly been pretty difficult for me. But yeah, again, it is such a privilege, and I've learned how to be like ultra independent. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun along the way.
You're so strong for that. I visited Singapore last year, and I don't know if I could live that far away from my family.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, it is very far, but I feel like I've just gained so much through this move. Like I've under like it's allowed me to understand the world better. And like America, I feel like if you're born in America, you can kind of be in a bubble, like not understanding the rest of the world. But having lived here, I feel like it's really expanded my horizons.
That's so true. I've lived on both the East Coast and the West Coast, and I think just culturally, like they're different, but it has taught me a lot spending time in both places.
Yeah, yeah.
When things get overwhelming, what practices or habits help you stay grounded? And are any of them rooted in your cultural or family traditions?
That's a great question. I think one thing I do is I have to work out actually. Like, if I don't work out for a long period of time, I just go crazy. It's like my, is it called a steam valve? I don't know. You know, an instant pot, you have to like,
Oh, yeah, yeah. When you
yeah.
release it.
Yes, I feel like that's what it is for me. I also journal a lot. To be honest, I actually found my love for writing through journaling because I've always journaled ever since I was really young. I've always felt like writing was a way for me to detangle my own thoughts and to like understand how I feel and understand what I want and everything. I journal a lot. And another thing is like I just call my mom. Yeah, I think that might be rooted in cultural tradition because like family's so important in Chinese culture. Yeah, I call my mom or I call my family members, I call my sister, and I call my boyfriend. Yeah, that's always helpful.
Those are all good resources, especially journaling and exercise. In my psych class that I'm taking right now, they're always talking about those are great ways to get out of your head. So
Yeah,
I think successful
yeah.
people journal.
Yes, I think so too. Yeah.
hmm What advice would you give to a teen who worries they are not smart enough, especially if they come from a background where mental health or self-doubt is not openly discussed?
Mm. To be honest, I would tell them that everything that they need is right inside them. Like it's right in them. I feel like that's a lesson that I learned when I was really young, realizing that like everything that you actually need to get to where you want to be is already inherently within you. And like believing that is actually what will help you get there. I think that, for example, let's say you have like a big dream, right? You really have to believe that you can achieve it in order to actually achieve it. And I know that it can, like, not everyone grew up in the same type of situation. Not everyone has the same privileges, right? But I think like everyone does have their own advantages and disadvantages, strengths and weaknesses. Like even the most successful people in the world have their own weaknesses. So I think that leaning into actually what your strengths are, what feels naturally easier for you to do, will actually set you apart and help you stand out.
I love that. I love that. Those are all great advice, and I'm sure someone needed to hear that out there.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
I wanted to
I
move
hope so.
on.
Yeah.
I wanted to move on to the lightning round questions. So, first off, what is one soft skill you think every teen should practice?
I think like one soft skill every teen should have is being resourceful and also taking agency, yeah, over your own life because I think those were those were the two skill sets that really helped me progress in my own career.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And then, what is your go-to way to connect with someone quickly during an interview?
Yeah, I think the go-to way is just treating them like a human, to be honest. Not treating them like not sometimes like being less formal or just talk like treating them like a friend is the best way to go.
I love that piece of advice. And can you share your best advice in 5 words or less for the next generation?
Just ask. I think that would be my best advice. That's really helped me, to be honest, is just asking for things throughout my life.
Yeah, you're not going to receive if you don't ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciated having the time to talk to you, and I think I learned a lot from this interview.
Oh, thanks, Athena. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me on, and it was really fun for me too.